What's up, fisher people? Chuck Pippin from Chuck Pippin Fishing and CPF Lures. Today I'm going to do a how-to video, or as I like to call them, a how I do it video. We're going to go over rod repair, specifically cork handle rod repair. We're going to restore the cork handle on this well-used Generation 1 Omen Black fishing rod from 13 Fishing, which my son and daughter use now. Reel's kind of worn out. This rod's probably 5 years old. As you can see on the cork here, all the little voids there, the little holes in it, or dips, that's where all the filler has washed out. So we're going to try and make this video kind of quick, which they don't end up usually being very short when I say that, but we're going to restore this rod handle. I'm going to show you all the stuff you need and all the steps to doing it. So let's get into it. All right, before we get started, as you can see, we've removed the reel from the rod. Give you a little closer look here. See all the little voids in the rod? So before we get started, let's see what we need here. You're gonna need to clean this and do a light sanding. I actually like to use a magic eraser. That really seems to clean the surface stuff off. A little soap and water and a microfiber towel, and I really wring it around there. You're gonna need some tape to tape off the areas that you don't want to get the wood filler in. Here's your sandpaper. I got a variety pack that has 80 to 320 grit sandpaper. And I got some Minwax stainable wood filler. It's flexible. You can stain it, you can sand it. It resists shrinking and cracking, which is good. We're gonna use this to fill this in here. You're supposed to use a putty knife. I got a very fancy chrome plastic knife that I found in our pantry, and that is all the stuff you need to restore this handle. I haven't done this in a while, so we're gonna see how it turns out. First step here, I like to sand it a little bit before I clean it, just to get any loose debris off of there, any of the cork that might be chipped or hanging loose. I'm gonna use the 120 grit here, so let's fold that over. And it doesn't require a lot of sanding. Just don't forget about the little part up here. That's going to get a lot of the surface dirt off also. Actually, it looks pretty good already, but there's a lot of debris in there. A lot of the dust particles that you see here are going to be down in there, and the wood filler won't bond real well to that loose debris. So I'm going to go wash this off in some running water, clean it, dry it, and then we're going to do the wood filler. On to the next step. I have my magic eraser. It's wet, can't tell, it's wet. And my microfiber towel. I'm just going to take this magic eraser, kind of wrap it around it. You might see some water squeeze out maybe. And we're just going to run it around. It's going to tear up the magic eraser, but it's serving its purpose. These things, I use these things to clean my boat. You don't want to really put them on like a painted surface like your car, but boat fiberglass inside your live well, see all that dirt is coming out of there? Anything like that, these magic erasers are great. I haven't used any bleach or anything like that. I've bleached these handles before, which is probably not good for the glue that holds it together, but let's, this might want to spin, so I have it cranked down, and let's just go around. Just keep rotating it. I mean, you can see that cork, besides the voids that are left in it from the filler falling out over all the use that I've done, or that it's had, that cork already looks pretty new. Then I'm going to take this damp microfiber towel. These things are great too. Every fisherman must have every fisherman, even if you're not a fisherman, if you just have a boat, you need some microfiber towels. So you can see that cork from what we started with. Look how clean and new that cork looks. And we're gonna let it dry for a few minutes, and then we're gonna try out this wood filler. On to step 3. Before we put this wood filler in, before we fill in those holes, we're gonna tape off the areas with this frog tape. I like frog tape. It's my brand of preference, frog tape. I'm gonna tape off the areas that I don't want wood filler to get in. And I'm sure applying somewhere in the directions for this wood filler, it probably says to use, you know, protective gloves or something like that. As you can see by my hands from the big 9-pounder, almost 9-pounder I caught yesterday, and some work I was doing on my boat. I don't use a lot of protective gloves. Fisherman's hands should never look that good. So we're ready to go. Let's slap some wood filler in here. You want to put a lot in there, a little higher than what you, because it says it resists shrinking. It's going to shrink a little bit as it's drying. You can actually stain this wood filler too. I'm just going to leave it a natural color, and I'm supposed to be using a putty knife like I said, but I can almost guarantee you that I'm just going to end up pushing all this stuff in here with my fingers, because that's how I roll. So we've got some on there. Let's just skip that putty knife deal, and let's just push all this stuff in here with my fingers, because it is not a flat surface, it's a cylinder. Keep going. Liberal amount. This stuff dries in about 15 minutes. You want to make sure you go like back and forth. If there's a big gaping hole there and you just pull it this way, you're going to leave some spaces on the back end open. So I like to make sure I push this stuff in really well from all different angles to really fill in those holes. That looks pretty good there. Probably going to wipe off some of this excess. The less you leave on there that doesn't need to be on there, the less sanding you're going to have to do when it's dry. You don't want to wipe off too much where you're getting into it though. And this part here won't take as long. There we go. I never used my fancy putty knife. I used that. It's all filled in. We're gonna let it dry. I'm gonna give it about 20 minutes to let it dry. Then we're gonna come back and hit it with some sandpaper, clean it up, and move on to the final step. See what this thing looks like. On to the final steps. I actually let this thing dry for about a half hour. Got caught up doing some other stuff. We're gonna hit it probably, because stuff dries pretty good. I think I'm gonna hit it with probably like an 80 grit to start, get some of the higher edges off here. Here's some 80 grit. Fold this over and just, not gonna press real hard, just gonna get some of the bigger edges off. Be careful that you don't end up sanding other parts of the rod off, like up on the foam parts. Looks pretty good. So I think I'm gonna go down so I can get a really smooth finish. I think I'm gonna hit it with a 220. 220 here. Then we'll clean it up. See how it turned out. Let's just do it like that. See, I got some up here. I'll clean that up a little bit here though in a second. So, I'm gonna remove this tape. I am gonna use this putty knife. I'm gonna use this putty knife or my super fancy chrome plastic knife. I'm gonna use it to clean off some of that where I got it in the areas that it doesn't need to be around the edges. Looks pretty good. Nice smooth finish. I'm going to use this slightly damp. You don't want it to be super wet. This microfiber towel, because they clean everything. Get the dust and stuff out of the foam here while the towel is still clean. And I'm just going to wipe this down. Check that out. All the holes filled in. Now the cork's a little damp from the towel. It'll lighten up a little bit, and there you have it. You can stain this wood filler. I think Elmer's makes a similar deal. There's probably a bunch of companies out there, but you see all the holes are filled in. Feels like new. There's some sealers out there too, which I'll probably seal this when I'm done. Find a good cork sealer or some sort of wood sealer you can put on there. Or, I mean, this whole process took besides the drying, took me like 15 minutes, so it's not that big a deal. So there you have it. Cork handle rod restoration 101 from yours truly, Chuck Pippin Fishing and CPF Lures. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, I own my own bait company. Where's it at? Right there, CPF Lures. So, I'm gonna do a little giveaway with this video. Tell me how you like the video. Leave me some comments if you want to see more videos like this, where I'm fixing stuff up, maybe not just out fishing, but just doing some stuff like this, some more how I do it videos. Let me know in the comments, and I'm gonna, at the end of this month, just before Halloween on the 30th, I'm gonna give somebody this rod that I just restored. I'll get my son a new one. I'm pretty fortunate. 13 Fishing takes pretty good care of me. They're a great rod and reel company. They're a lure company also, but I'm gonna give this rod away with that reel that was on it to somebody that likes and comments. Please share this video too. But to sweeten the deal a little bit, I'm gonna give away a $100 gift certificate for anything you want, $100 on cpflures.com. Check us out. But this is cork handle fishing rod restoration with some wood filler from Minwax. Other companies make wood filler. Might want to seal it. Looks like a brand new cork handle. Rod's in great condition. Please subscribe to my channel. We'll see you next time.